Okay, finally, after setting it up, I was setting it up for a minute. It probably took me like 45 minutes to set up everything, but I got the microphone right now, so I can have a little bit better audio, which I should have, considering this is the recording studio, right? But anyway, I've been out for a minute. I just been busy with everything, life. Um, And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about a lot of things. I guess I'm going to unpack a lot. But anyway, I'm kind of back to the game. I feel like I have always a lot of things I kind of want to share anyway. So yeah, let me talk a little bit. Let me vent about certain things. Not even vent, but anyway, okay. I'm just gonna keep it. I'm just gonna keep it 100 buck because I'm just gonna talk the way how I always talk instead of trying to be all politically correct. So, from those of you who know me, my name is Dot, and I don't want to do another introduction because I already did it multiple times. We just continue with what I already had before. And if you join in right now, hey, welcome on board. But anyway. So tomorrow is the 27th of February, and it's my birthday. I'm not even making this video because it's my birthday. It just happens to happen that kind of everything is lining up around the same time. But my main thing, so yeah, if I'm swinging a little bit, my main thing that I wanted to talk about is 669, which I'm gonna get to it a little bit. It might take me a little bit to fully explain and kind of give you guys a little bit of a idea of a vision or what it used to be, what it was for me, how it started, and what is going on. So it's been since I'm in the new space, the 334. I've definitely changed a lot of my feelings towards the previous things. And again, the previous things is still part of what I am right now. So I'm not trying to detach myself in any way. I'm just trying to kind of explain how my brain thinks and how I feel, how everything is. But anyway, so 669 was my other studio, my first studio that I've opened in Toronto, downtown Toronto. And that was crazy enough a decade ago, exactly 10 years. I've opened it on March 1st of 2015. Shout out to Bobby because Bobby is a big part of it. I don't think 669 would have ever existed without Bobby. So shout out to Bobby. And I've decided that I'm gonna say close, but it's more of a detachment because the studio itself is still there, and Derek and Mark are there, so they doing their own thing, and they're gonna get the legacy going, or whatever they're gonna create with it. But me as a person that was always involved in 669. Actually, fuck, I'm going a little bit. Let me take it one by one. But anyway, as I said, I opened it in the 2015, March 1st, and I decided that I am going to shut it down or withdraw myself from 669 on March 1st of 2025, which is exactly a decade. I don't even know how it happened. It just happened to happen that everything kind of came together. But that made me, that kind of put me in a place where I was like, you know what? It's been 10 years. Let me think about it. Let me kind of go through everything year by year. And it's crazy to even think because I'm realizing 10 years is not that long. Even though it's a long time, it also is not that long if you think about it. The time is flying so quick that sometimes it's a little bit different. I guess a little bit different. I don't want to say feeling, but experience how your life is going and how you live it. But anyway, it's been a it's been a decade, and I was like, you know what, I'm out. I have to move on mentally, and that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about like um, just studio operation, what I realized throughout the years, like how my ideology changed and how my vision of what I want to do, where I want to be, kind of changed throughout the times and years and all the experience and all that, all those things. So number one thing, when I opened 669 in 2015, it was amazing time, a lot of work, hard work and stress and preparing it and just like building it. It was a lot, and again, I'm not gonna tell the whole story because I'll have to I'll have to write a book about it. I'm just gonna kind of go as much as I can one by one, so I'm not gonna make it too boring. Um, so yeah, 2015, I opened the studio, and I'm not gonna lie. Probably at the time, it was also like the city was hot. Everything was like back then. The Toronto's music scene was very different when it comes to just hype and how everything was just it was more organized, more placed together. But it just happened to happen that I timed it perfectly. Like I opened the studio in the right time at the right time. Um, and at the time, I mean, there were studios in the city, but I think I had the vision of like what niche I want to not even target. I was like, you know what? The way how I am as a person is the way how the studio is going to operate. I'm a little bit rough and rugged. I got my style, I got my things that I do right, but I'm definitely I'm a little bit rough and rugged. But that's just the way how I am. That's just part of my personality. Um, so when I opened it, everything kind of came together, and a lot of artists that were kind of on the come up, I guess at the time, they just came to the studio. And I don't like to throw too many names and all that stuff, but I'm gonna put it I'm gonna put it out because like it's still part of the history. So I remember like those main two guys at the very beginning that came, and it kind of gave a lot of boost, and like we did some great records. We had some fun sessions. Was Ram Riddles, shout out to Rams, and Safe, shout out to Safe. And I guess it was like everybody's kind of fresh. Like I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Everybody's just having fun. Like it was a very different time. You know what I mean? It's like I knew what I wanted, and I'm like I'm here for the music. So I just attacked it like crazy. You know what I mean? There was like a lot of just a lot of work. Projects dropped like. All of a sudden, it's like everybody's at 669, and like it was just time where it's like the way how I timed it when I opened it, and how everything was kind of going on in the city, it made everything kind of, I don't like to say blow up, but it's like it just kind of put the studio like on the map in a very short time. I think like I'm not gonna lie, probably within like 3 months to 4 months of opening the studio, I think I was already like expanding, but I'm gonna get to it a little bit later. But it was very short amount of time, and like that very beginning was like super intense, but it was great. I enjoyed the time. There was still a lot of songs that are out there, and it was fun time. I was just enjoying everything. Obviously, I was working like crazy. Look, I didn't work out. I didn't do anything. I was just working. I probably lost 15 pounds just that year, 2015. I was like super skinny, and like I was just physically I wasn't in the right space, but everything was going so fast, and man, I'm not gonna lie, I was probably smoking way too much weed at the time too. And again, I don't even smoke that much, but considering like the time, it was pretty crazy. It was intense. But anyway, so that was 2015. Bam, bam, bam. Met a lot of people. A lot of great guys came to 669. I think man, Chris, Brandon, shout out to Brandon, shout out to Chris, Vinny, Rob. Like, there's a lot of guys that came to the studio, and again, mention names. They all my dogs. Um, and Yeah, it was great. You know what I mean? Everybody were like, and I think we were just like, all of us, we were young, excited, and we had no idea what we were doing. I think that's the beauty of doing things sometimes, is not knowing what the hell you're doing, because when you don't know, it's more fun. It's more excitement. There's a lot of stress, but it's like you don't overcalculate things. You kind of just do it. You know, like I did not look. I never had no business plan. I never had none of those things. You know, I mean, for me, it's just like I just have an idea. Let me just go for it. Let me experience it. So that's kind of how I work, how I operate. But you know, that was 2015. Then 2016. I think 2016 was also a great year. You know, we still working, more people coming. I think 2016 was when MS joined 669. Shout out to MS. He's been at 669 for a minute, you know, and it's like I remember I always saw MS on even from before I even like before 669. We followed each other on Twitter, and you know I always saw that he was doing this thing, and like you know again at the time we all young, we just trying to be engineers, and we just have you know not even idea, just we just have dreams of like you know becoming one. So anyway, I hit up Emmett and I was like, hey man, I opened the studio. Would you like to like you know hop in, join in, this and that and that? And he was like, yeah, for sure. So he came in, and first he was I think he was at Studio B, a little bit. So he would like just you know be at Studio B, and then eventually he got his own room, and he was just you know he stayed there. So yeah, that was 2016. Part of the history. MS is definitely a big part of 669. You know. 2016, I also linked up with Anders. Shout out to Anders. And you know, it was like they hit me up at the time. Derek hit me up. Shout out to Derek, Anders' manager at the time. And you know, he was like, "Hey, Dad, we heard your work. Blah blah. We love it. Would you like to work with this artist that I'm managing? Blah blah blah." You know, it was just typical. We all look. Nobody knows nothing, you know what I mean? Like Derek at the time, he also like had no clue. It's like we all just trying things. It's like I think that's the fun part about it. We were just hungry going for things, you know. But yeah, so you know we had a meeting, and yeah, the energy was good. We just clicked, and you know from there we were working on the I think 669 project came out in 2016, I believe, right? I'm pretty sure it was 2016. But anyway, there's one story that I feel the world has to hear it. I told the story many times to people around, but it's like, you know, I never said it like publicly where anybody can just rewind it and hear it, but I'm going to tell a story. So, let me check if I'm recording just to make sure. Yep, everything is still good. Okay, so going back to the 669 story. So, at the time we had the session. We had a session with Anders, Luca. I think everybody might have been there. The whole NST squad. It was like one of the sessions we were finalizing. At the time, it wasn't called 669. We were finalizing the project, but there was no name to it. And you know, we just talking, laughing, having fun. You know what? There's a part of the story, but fuck it, I'm gonna say it. I'm just gonna make it rough and rugged the way how it was. I'm gonna say real stories. I'm not gonna try to make it, you know, too politically correct. But anyway, we finalized everything, and then we were just chilling after the session, talking about the project, what the moves are, how we gonna name it, and all that stuff. And at the time, I don't know what inspired us, but we had something that we called it a shroom lean. It wasn't a lean. It was just basically shrooms, tea with shrooms, like regular tea. I think it was like maybe raspberry tea. We put some shrooms in it, and we put honey, like a lot of honey and lemon. So it was like super thick, and it was kind of like you know, we just called it shroom lean. But anyway, whatever, you know. Anyway, we were sipping on that, you know, having spiritual conversations with it about like, you know, okay, maybe not that spiritual, but you know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I'm making it too complicated, too long. Anyway, we were like kind of throwing names of how the project is going to be called. And I don't know why. I At the time I was like, there was so many things happening, and 669 as a number, like there's a numerology behind it. And yeah, I should have said that at the very beginning. So basically, 669 angel number means a new beginning, a new path, blah blah blah, all positive stuff, right? I'm gonna put that later on, and I'm gonna like maybe cut it, paste it, and talk about this. But so I just kind of threw it. I was like, it's the first project, this and that. I was like, why wouldn't you just call it 669? And first, guys are looking at me like, why would we call a project, album, EP, whatever you want to call it at the time? Why would we call it like after a 669 as a name of the studio? And I was like, no. It's like I didn't even mean it in the studio way in the first place, because I think that's kind of what people think, that it was about like kind of giving a shout out to the studio. For me, it was more like that, that number of the new beginning, something fresh, something that is like gonna put you on a new path and all that stuff. And I was like, that was I think it was suitable. And they were like, oh, different names, but we were like, you know what, let's see what's gonna happen. And let me continue the story. So after that, the reason why the project was called 669. So we had the conversations, everybody left, and that's Anders told me that. So everybody left, and as they walk in, they were walking on the intersection of Queen Street West and Bathurst, because that's where the studio was. And I guess they were going to a car, and they were like still talking about how we gonna name the project, blah blah blah, this and that and that. And as they were walking, there was a cab that was turning left, and they looked left, and the number on the cab was 669. So that was like, first I was like, they didn't really think much of it. They were like, okay, whatever, it is what it is. But that was also a week where everybody were going to LA. Anders, I think Luca, Derek. I don't think Will was part of it yet, or maybe he was. But Will was also one of Anders' manager at the time. Anyway, shout out to Will. Anyway, they went to LA, and Anders, I remember he sent me a WhatsApp. It was a WhatsApp picture, I think it was a WhatsApp picture. And this guy is sending me pictures like, yo, we naming it 669. And I was like, what? And he basically told me that they landed on in LAX, and their shuttle that was picking them up from the plane was also 669. So for them at the time, it was just like 669 here, 669 here. They were like, yo, this is a sign. We calling it 669, So that's kind of how it happened. This is the true story. This is the the actual thing, how everything came to life for that project. And we did like, yeah, it was definitely a different experience. It was like, we did a lot of shows. I feel like with that team and Anders and all that stuff was like, it was a lot of fun, and like it was, everything was running like a unit. So it was like, I've known him, man, it's been a minute. Like 9 years basically, and we still work together. We're working on a new thing, so it's definitely we connected over those projects, and yeah, it's a cool experience. Shout out to Anders, obviously. So yeah, 2016, that was that, and like that's the time when I started doing live shows and all that stuff. Like the guys just asked me, it's like, yo, Dad, do you know how to like DJ and do live shows? I was like, not really, but I can figure it out, So there was like shows happening and stuff. So I started doing it. I remember the first show I was stressing, I was so stressed, holy, but I think as time went and I kind of understood all the dynamics of the venues and how everything works, I was like, okay, everything is under control. Right now for me, it's just like, if I do a show, it's just like no stress. I'm actually the most relaxed person out there, But anyway, going back to the thing, so 2016, 2017, 18, yeah, 2017, 18, there was definitely a lot of, I was working with a lot of guys for sure. We were doing a lot of shows, like everything was just beautiful. Summertime was beautiful. Like it was a lot of just busy, busy times that were happening. So I was working on a lot of projects. I don't even know how I made everything happen because I was like on such a crazy like I was always in like high pace. A lot of like just running, which I think at the time is a good thing, but sometimes it's good to like gauge things how we do things because at some point I was on some crazy next level thing when I was like I was running I think I was running almost every day. I slept 3 hours a day, but I felt great. I had so much energy and I was just like so like yeah, let's go. But it kind of cut up to me at some point. I ended up in an emergency room in the I think it was like the General Hospital downtown. Man, that was an experience of its own, that definitely changed the way how I think about a lot of things. Because spending the time in the ER with the busted face and busted knee, I almost lost my tooth. Yeah, I mean, I would say like this. It was a good experience in the way where it's like sometimes we gotta rebalance things, and that definitely helped me rebalance. Um, but it also made me kind of change the perspective on certain things, when it comes to life. Um, so yeah, those years was definitely me pushing it to the max and just like, everything was great. Like, look, I can't say anything bad. I've worked with so many people at the time too. I can't even like I don't remember everybody, but there was a lot of things that I was working on. But I also feel like those are also the times when I remember how I told you in the beginning that I didn't know what I was doing. And then when it's like, I get all the experience, deal with so many things, it's like slowly and surely the mold is starting to happen when it's just like you understand the patterns. You like, you the life that you always wanted to live, or the life that I always wanted to live, slowly is molding right in front of me, right? So I was like, even when it comes to sound, I'm better with the sound. I'm upgrading equipment, always getting something, always like this. Like I'm very in it, which I think obviously you have to be, or I had to be at the time, and I always have to be. But yeah, slowly I started developing like a mold of like I understand things right now. I know what I'm doing. Like things are getting a little bit tighter on every end. And again, going 2019, I think 2019 was, it almost felt like, what? Something is like, everything is good, but it's like, when everything is going way too good, something has to happen. That's how it felt. Like 2019, this is literally what it was, where everything is fine, everything's going still, the work, like, there's nothing to complain about, but something doesn't feel the same. You know what I mean? Like, it still was a good year, for sure. But it was like, it didn't, like, there was something that was like, we almost had it too good with everything. Something has to happen. And then bam, COVID happens. You know what I mean? And mine, that's like 5 years. That's 2015 to 2020. That's 5 years. And I just said like, I didn't tell all the stories. I'm just saying I'm trying to briefly go through it. You know what I mean? Because to break it down from like, from like day to day, month to month, is way too much to talk. But anyway, so 2020 hits, and I feel like 2020 was definitely that first year when everything is much more challenging in a place where it's like, COVID hits, everything is shut down, everything is like, everything just feels, what's the right word? I don't want to use the word dangerous because that's not what it was, but everything feels fragile, or yeah, everything feels fragile. When it comes to how to operate and how to move, how to do things, because everything, the whole economy, everything, like I'm not even talking about economy. You can't travel, you can't do anything. Lines are there for, there's lines for groceries, like everything was just madness. The good thing about studios, I mean, look, What, you guys gonna lock me up or something? When these fucking idiots, yes, these fucking guys, Trudeau and his whatever fucking idiots. Sorry, I don't like to swear too much, but let me just say it. Let me just say it because I'm gonna get political because that the whole thing kind of put me in the politics state of mind as well. Which, look, the more you understand, the more you understand. But anyway, these idiots decide to like shut everything down, and it's like I get it. Oh, panic, this. I don't even want to get that political when it comes to COVID. You guys know my stand. You know what I mean? Not vaccinated, you already know me. Hey man, we keeping it real out here. But everything got shut down, and I feel like, I'm like, oh shit. What I mean? Let's see how everything goes. But everything was actually pretty smooth. Mine is like, I caught COVID. I was a little bit sick, this and that. But even then, I guess, okay, when I had COVID, I didn't even know that I had it, because that was like at the very beginning, so nobody even knew what COVID was. You know what I mean? But anyway, I had it. It was tough. I was definitely sick. It was crazy. It was a crazy experience. And again, at the time, I just thought it was a super bad flu. You know what I mean? But hey, I'm alive. I survived. I'm here. But yeah, it was definitely, it was definitely an experience to get. But again, I've been sick a few times in my life with like flu, and it kind of felt the same way. It's like, just it shook me up. But anyway, that happened. So 2020 was. I think 2020 was the first year when I was like, I need to find something different. I started to feel like 669 as much as it served me. It started to become first time I was like, I wanted to like make it even bigger. I was like, I need to, I was looking for bigger spots, and I was like, I need something that's like 4,000 square feet. And I'm gonna put like a whole bunch of rooms there, and I'm gonna get my guys and this and that, and like that's kind of how I'm gonna operate. So that was my initial idea, but that also was when I was naive in a way where it's like sometimes you gotta just do what you gotta do. You know what I mean? Sometimes less is more. Actually, most of the time, less is more. But at the time, I was like checking certain places, this and that, and I was like, I need to grow. So it took me like, I would say like this, 2020 to 2022, those 2 years, there's nothing really much going on other than like, we regular work, but it's like sessions, this and that, but the whole world is shut down. So it's like, nothing really feels like it's moving in any way. I mean? Like there's a one, two things, couple of projects, and like, things are happening for sure. But it's just like, you already know. It's like, world been what it has been since. So 2020, COVID times, bam, bam, bam. Then 2023, things are slowly getting better. I think, we did the tour in 23, like Canada tour, which was fun. And just like, slowly things started going. But again, I was just looking for a spot, looking for something. And it took me 2 years probably to find, where I am right now when it comes to 334. Wow, that was kind of, I went on a quick little memory lane real quick. And I literally, like, as I'm speaking right now, and I'm realizing, okay, I'm back again here. It's almost like I was like, it took me on a little twisty road, But anyway, doesn't really matter. But I'm here right now, and there's a couple of things that I want to say when it comes to, change of my mind and change of the way how I view things, what I wanted, what I don't want, and just kind of those things. So I think before, when I was younger, before I even opened 669, I was always like, I want to open a recording studio. I want to like, own a recording studio. And then I was like, I had this whole thing like, oh, I'm going to, at some point I'm going to get like a commercial studio, this, and like, that's kind of was my idea of how I want to progress in life when it comes to career, I guess, in the studios and all that. But then I was like, you know what? Somewhere down the line, when I gotta, and again, 669 wasn't by any means the biggest studio, but it was like 3 rooms to manage, and like there's always people in and out. Like there's a lot of things. I always got to be like almost a janitor and a studio owner and this and that. I had to do so much. But anyway, so my idea from having from studio life, it was almost like at some point I was like, nah, I don't want to have more rooms. I just need something for myself. I just want to something where I can create, I can be productive, I can do what I want to do, how I want to do it, and it looks the way how I envisioned it. And even when it comes to the feel, I always say one thing is like I want to have a studio that resembles commercial studio in a place where you can compete, or somewhere like you can compete on a quality and equipment level, and just like sonic type of advantage with like a big studio. But then I like my space, like I like to feel like I'm at home. I like to feel that I'm in a comfortable space where it makes me feel things, and like it's like it's not really an office, it's not a home, but it's something in between that I gotta do what I gotta do because that's my work, but I also want to feel like I'm at home. But I also don't want to feel like I'm at home because I've had a home studio, and like I know home studios, as good as they are, it's a little bit too comfortable for me, in the sense where if I have a space where I live and I work, if let's say I have a studio, whatever, if I have a studio somewhere, whatever, in the house or something, in the room, one of the rooms is a studio, if I have access to work 24/7, I will work 24/7. So for me, I know it's like it would be hard for me to be like, I mean, I would find a balance and stuff, but it's like it's just too much of it's too much of a comfortable situation for me personally. But then it's like when here is like when I go home, I'm like, you know what, I'm at home. I don't have to think about it. I think that separation for me between like I don't have to think about it anymore, and it's like I can just relax, unwind. I think that became an important thing for me because I feel like I'm more rested when I get here, and I'm like I want to do things. I'm a little bit more like, you know what, okay, I'm here. I gotta work. So yeah, it's a little bit different, and on top of that, the rent has to be paid. So that's another thing, that's the financial side of things, which I'm also gonna discuss. But anyway, so I went from me being in the place where I'm like, oh, I want to have a studio, and even bigger studio, and this and that, to like, you know what, I want to have a space for myself where I can, I wouldn't say rebuild, but definitely like repurpose myself as an engineer and all that stuff. I feel like doing things the same way over and over again is boring, tedious, and it makes us kind of slow down. For me, I always was more of a dynamic person when it comes to just being in it. So I feel like sometimes when I'm doing things the same way, it just gets me like frustrated. But anyway, so for this room, I wanted to have something. I guess I'm gonna do like a little. Yeah, never mind. So in this room, I wanted to have a space that I can grow with, or the space can grow with me. And I felt like at 669, I just outgrew the place. I couldn't grow in any direction, and it just didn't give me any type of challenge. Like the challenge was the challenge that I couldn't have won. That's the thing. It's like the only challenge with 669 was that if I took that challenge, I would have won. It would definitely win, because it's just the way how the space is designed, and like everything around it. But it doesn't matter. So yeah, I just had to get the room that is big enough where I can add more equipment and do things. And here is like, look, I can track a band here. I can, I have the synths here. I can have, drums, whatever. Like, the space is big enough for me to do everything that I would like to do if I had to do it. But at the same time, everything is just open space. I don't want any booths in my life. I don't want to have that separation between the thing. I'm like, the way how I see things, I'm like, come here, let's vibe out. I'm here, you there, let's record. Let's like, I need it. For me, it's like, I wanted it to be more of a intimate space where it's like, we can just make cool shits. And that's kind of my idea. And I think even going forwards, as much as I might repeat something similar where I would get the space with like, maybe 2, 3 rooms and put guys together and kind of, have a nice place where we all kind of coexist again would be cool. Because I feel like as much as I enjoy this place and space here, is like, it does get lonely because I'm here by myself all day. So it's like I'm literally just living like a monk, where at 669 it was much more social. I had people coming in, and it was it's two different worlds that I was living in I used to live in a different world. Right now I live in a different world. But I'm discovering a new advantages of this world, and obviously disadvantages of this world, the same how I discovered things with 669, right? So, it's been a decade. I moved here a year and a half ago, so obviously I've been here for a little bit, but, with 669, I was still kind of taken care of. I had the Studio B, people kind of renting it out monthly, this and that and that, which, it worked. Like, people book it. We got, producers, sometimes songwriters. Like the room is busy. Sometimes it was slower, sometimes it's super busy. It's just the way how the business is. But I guess for me, the reason why I really was like, nah, I can't do it no more, it just burns way too much of my time. It's not enough profit for me to really be like, to make it sense to have this and have that and try to fill that and still run what I'm doing. And then it's just unnecessary stress. There's a lot of work. And I feel like if I was just a manager, like a studio manager, and I think this is where the thing comes in when it comes to running the studio. For me personally, I don't know how other guys run it. I'm speaking from my own experience and perspective and what I want to be. When it comes to what I was saying, I sidetracked something and I forgot what I was about to say. It was like, when you think about something too hard and then it just disappears, but I know it's gonna come back. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So going back to Studio B, the reason why I couldn't handle it anymore is because people call me at 3 a.m. because the microphone doesn't work. Computer is not working. How do I connect my interface? Something. There's always so many things that I have to take care of. And again, a lot of those things, like, I know how to fix it. I put the studio together. But again, I feel like sometimes even when I'm trying to make things as simple as I can, sometimes it's hard because I don't realize that people don't use common sense. I'm not going to say everybody, but the times are a little bit different. So what makes sense in my head might not necessarily connect in another human being's head. So it kind of got to the point where I'm like, I don't even know if I can simplify it anymore. I probably could have, but I just didn't have time. That's first. And there was just too much work. That's the best way how I can close this chapter. I was like, you know what, Studio B, way too much work. And work is one thing, and on top of that, everything just became super expensive. Like the rent went up probably by 30% at least, 30 to 40%. I think 30, closer to 30. But anyway, a lot of money. So for me, it's like it's not beneficial for me to try to restore it and do it. It's just way too much work, you know what I mean? But anyway, Work and money. If there's too much work and not enough money, you got to cut. That's just the way how the business works, you know. And that was kind of the thing where I was like, you know what, I can't do it. But because I was already here, it was like, you know, I was like, I need to work a little bit more on what I want to do next, or where I want to be next, and how I want it to be. So you know, this space was ideal. It's perfect. Is it? If there was a space that I've envisioned, and again, it took me 2 years to find it, it was this space, and it randomly appeared. It's one of those things where if you keep looking, is with anything like this in life. If you keep looking, things are gonna happen. It's just like you just gotta be persistent, and I was persistent with it, you know. And when things happen, don't think twice. I feel like for me to really to take this space, I was like, I'm not gonna say I rushed it because it's not the case, but I was definitely not fully ready to juggle everything the way how I juggled for the first, you know, like year and a half or almost 2 years, whatever I did. Um, and yeah, that's the thing for me, right? It's juggling two places. It's not a flex. And again, if I'm just managing, and I'm not saying in it by any means that you know management is easy work, because it's not. It requires you know focus and requires a lot of work. But the thing is that I can manage and engineer at the same time. It's impossible because even on the engineering side, you know, like I'm super critical about how I am or how my mixes sound, and I can listen to something that I'm like, yeah, it's fire, and then like I'm gonna listen to it next week, and I'm like, "Ah, it's garbage. I gotta get better," and I'm just like, I get into this deep depression because again, people, it might be something that is in my head where people might not hear it, but I hear it, and I'm so critical that if it doesn't meet my standards in my head, I get depressed, and then I have to figure out how to get better. If my low end is not good enough, then I'm like, what am I gonna do to get a low end or top end? Like things kind of always rebalance sonically in my head, right? So it's like I'm looking for that perfect thing, but it just works like that, where I'm trying to be the best as I can be, but you know sometimes I feel like I'm not gonna say I'm not doing a good job because I'm always putting 100%, but maybe sometimes I'm like overworked and I don't hear certain things, or maybe it's just all in my head. I don't know. I actually have no idea because you know sometimes people are like, yeah, it's everything is good, this that. So it might be just I might be just too self-critical when it comes to you know my work. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because you know it works for me when it comes to how I operate. But anyway, you know, for me even sonically, like the reason why I knew I had to leave 669 was because the room that I had was just where I heard things. It's literally like this. What I'm hearing in my head, it's very related to a room or like the space that I have around my head between the walls and the ceiling. And when I was listening to my mixes, I just felt like my mixes were compressed like this. You know, like I heard that the room is hugging my mixes. And again, by any means, I'm saying that it sounded bad because I did some great mixes. You know, I mean, I did some great mixes in that room, and at the time, it was like it was perfect. It was exactly what I wanted, how I wanted it to be. But you know, at some point, I was just like, I'm trying to escape that sound because in my head, I already hear like it should be here. Like there's a space that I'm not able to achieve in that room. And as much as I'm trying, and like you know, I was like, I'm changing the equipment, I'm spending like thousands of dollars, like changing this, changing that, I need this, I need that. And I'm not saying like those things definitely made a little bit of you know improved me in many ways, but they didn't change what I was trying to change. And that's the thing for me, is like when I do things, I know exactly what has to be changed. You know, I'm a as much as I might seem like I'm not always decisive, I'm very decisive, and I know what I want, I know what I like, and I know how I want it to be. So obviously sometimes I gotta like you know bump heads with you know artists, producers, because you know everybody got their vision. So for me, it's like I want to make sure that my thing and their thing is matching, right? But at the same time, I want to make sure that their thing is matching. When I hear it, I'm satisfied with what I'm hearing. If I'm not satisfied, then again, it's like I'm doubting myself, because somebody might like it and they are perfectly fine with it, and I am not. So it's like a, you know, it's a, I'm not gonna say it's a heavy delusion, but it's just like that positive negative relationship that balances the whole thing, and it gets me going all the time and trying to, like, you know, chase what I'm hearing in my head. But that's the beauty of it. You know, and I know the type of music that I like. I know the type of sound that I like. So I'm just trying to focus on. I'm just trying to focus on that, you know. But anyway, I'm talking for a minute. I want to wrap it up. I kind of said a lot of things that I wanted to say in the beginning, and I wish I could really go into details. Maybe one day I'm gonna go into details and I'm gonna spend like 10 hours or 20 hours just talking about everything, breaking it down one by one. But you know, I want to be here. I want to be more consistent with everything that I do, so those videos are gonna keep coming. But anyway, I want to close it up. So, you know, me going from wanting to have a studio to just wanting to be me. I just changed my perspective and, you know, idea of music and certain things about myself. And another thing is, you know, I want to have a little bit more fun production. I feel like I have those creative ideas that kind of come to me, and I wanted to have a space where I can, you know, I can work on the production side. I love engineering, always going to be engineering, but like, you know, production is something that it makes me feel, if that makes sense. I feel like engineering sometimes took too much away from my feeling, because I had to put so many, you know, so much emotions and everything into what I'm working for somebody else. But then when I produce, it's like I have this thing playing in my head. Let me just try to like do it. It's like, you know, I always say it's like me playing PS5. You know, like it's just fun for me. So I just wanted to have a little bit more, you know, fun. So I don't want to feel like this. And I feel like that's how I was feeling. I was feeling very like closed in by so many things. So, you know, my whole idea or ideology by, you know, just kind of keeping it a little bit simpler is very simple. I want to be a little bit more free. I want to think less and do more. And I feel like before I had to think so much, and sometimes I couldn't do things that I wanted to do. Even, you know, recording the YouTube video, like, I'm not gonna lie, for like as much as I wanted to, I was trying to make a video for like a month. And I don't even remember the last time I did the video, probably like over a year ago. But that felt so like cramped up, and just so there was everything on me, and I always got to take care of things. No, that it was just like, it ate up all of my energy. You know, I still was, obviously I was working and all that stuff, but I just felt like I can't enjoy other things that I wanted to do. And even like this, I'm actually enjoying this a lot right now. But every single time I put the camera in front of me and I was trying to do something, it just wasn't coming out because I had so many things just on my mind, you know? So that was kind of the thing. But anyway, I'm a free man right now. I'm going to be doing a lot of things, a lot of videos more often. I'm going to talk about other things at some point, obviously. But I'm not going to talk about it right now, but I'm going to mention it. There is this whole new thing in audio engineering. I want to be very clear about it. I'm not even going to say anything, because I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not trying to diss in any way, you know, because who am I? It doesn't matter. But, you know, there's this whole new thing going on that the Pro Tools meters have a sound to them, which obviously when you guys hear it, you please do not believe in those things. You don't believe in that, you know? But, you know, it's just those things where sometimes I see things and I'm like, man, I just get heated. But that's why I'm like, I still love this game, you know? Like, I love engineering. Like, it gets me going. But anyway, you know, remember, the meters do not change the sound. They do change the decisions that you make 100%. I'm not gonna argue with that because, you know, I switched my my faders to, I think it's linear extended or extended linear, whatever they call that. And I'm definitely making very, very different decisions from my mix because to me, it's not even about the sound when it comes to meters to me. I mean, they don't have a sound in the first place, but whatever. For me, it's about how they look, how they make me feel. And they make me feel the best. They don't sound any different, they just make me feel, they just look like they make Pro Tools look better, at least to me. But anyway, I'm gonna close it on this note. Thanks for watching, and I will be back. Me and Derek, we actually have we're gonna do like a little, I don't know, we're just gonna have a little podcast. We're gonna just same thing, just conversations. Derek is one of my favorite guys. He was my intern for a long time at 669, and right now he's running his own thing. He's running the studio. He's actually in my old room at 669, so he just took over the room that I was using before, you know what I mean? So yeah, we just gonna have a little 1-2 podcast. We're gonna talk about the same thing. Well, not the same thing, we're gonna build it up. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you soon time, and I promise I'll be a little bit more consistent with my posting. 100p.